Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's Nat Walsh with you. I'm playing with this Tracey Hey set. It is called Teacup Treasures and it's pretty cute. I love it. I am going to do a landscape card today and we're going to do a little bit of masking, which I will do off camera. Firstly, I'm just going to use my tea ruler to get a rough idea of where my ground is. And this is just very, very lightly drawn. So this set has a lot of little characters that are just sort of peeking over that you can put into your teacup super easily. Or of course you can do the other thing of just drawing in lines and having a teacup. It's very versatile. So I have my little dude here and it is sort of going to be like he's splashing around in liquid. So I'm going to make him splashing around with a little bit of tea. I don't know. It just tickled my fancy. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm colouring with Copic Colouring. I did go to put my tea bag in and I'd already put the mask down. So we had to redo that. And I've already stamped my little bear obviously off to the side. And all these are sort of along the lines of the table slash, well, he's going to be a table because it's a teacup. You're not going to have a teacup on the ground. So this little dude is masked off slightly. And this is where I really enjoy, like just unveiling everything. I did get a little bit of ink, but we're going to trim him down to 14.4 centimeters. So 14.1 centimeters by 9.7 centimeters. This is going to give me a little bit of a border around my card. So I tend to do relatively, I think they're simple cards. I do like cards that have a lot of layers and everything else, but I do sort of generally speaking do my cards as very simple. I have a multi-liner pen here that I'm just filling in my lines so you can see it, and you need to make sure that you rub out any pencil before you start Copic colouring because it's going to stick behind there. So for my tea, I thought it's going to be like a milky sort of tea. He's going to be playing around in milk. I don't know. It just tickled me. So I have E35, E33, E31, E30, and I'm going right down to an E quadruple 0. To help with my colours sort of going together and feeling joined, I'm going to use the same sort of brown combination on my little bear. You could do a couple of different things. I mean, you could change the shade. So for example, E35, E33, E31, or even the 30. You don't have to do the quadruple zeros. And you can also make this to be a little bit darker. You could use more of the E35. This will still have the tones being the same because this card basically is very muted colours, and we're going to keep in line with that combination. And we're going to pick basically nothing terribly bright through the whole thing. So for my little elephant here, we've got C5, C3, C1. For his ears, R30. And then once you put the R30 down, go over it ever so lightly with the lightest colour. So in this case, it's C1. I'm also going to use this for my donkey. I think it's basically a donkey. He's very cute. And because he is going to be a lot darker, we'll talk more about him when we get to him. You're not going to see it quite so much, but it's still going to be there. So I'm finishing my E30 is also going to be with the elephant's little toenails. So here is my little teddy bear. Well, he's a little bear, but he's very cute. I am going to use a lot of the E35. But he's still going to be a brown bear. He's still going to be the same tone as the T, which is all right. I tend to use, especially, it's more helpful when you get to the really dark colours, but I tend to use a reflective shadow. I am self-taught, so I'm not going to tell you this is the way you should do it. I actually Copic colour very differently from the way I think that you are meant to be taught. But I'm the believer to know the rules and also to know when to break them. But work with what works with you. I'm very heavy-handed, so I tend to put a little bit of the darkest colour down first, and you'll probably see it a little bit more in this teacup. Again, very, very muted colours. We've got G94, G82 and G40. And then I go over it 2 times. There is some Copic colours that blend really easily a lot quicker. So for example, I think you'd find the E35s there in that bracket. These are not colour family, but even then, sometimes I think it's more like, off the top of my head, I'd probably say the YG90, that sort of 95, 93. Is it 95? Is there a 93? Can't think off the top of my head. But they are harder to blend together. This is not in that colour family. This is where you need, don't give up. And you just keep going at it and playing with it. This is, in this sort of situation, we're going to do a little bit of tip to tip technique, which is where you would tap the lightest colour on top of the medium colour, or the next colour that you needed to have that in between shade, and then use that onto your cardstock. I am going to revisit that because I'm going to let it dry. What was that? I'm going to let it dry and then see how it sits. I've also, if you just sort of noticed then, the G82, I had to take off the lid off the other side because he was, the pressure in it, sometimes if they can overfill it, and then sometimes you can get that already, like you buy it and it's a little bit overfull, and it will somehow, and I don't know, as I said, I'm self-taught. I'm not going to say that this is my hard and fast rule or anything else, but my understanding is that they go overfill, and then taking the lid off the other end of your Copic marker, it will balance out the pressure. With my tablecloth here, we got V93, V91 and V quadruple 0. Again, keeping in with those very, very muted, very soft color tones. I don't want to color the whole image, a whole tablecloth in that violet. I wanted it to be much softer. So what I'm going to do, and I've just done it then, is with my V quadrupled 0, just adding little flicks over it in the bottom. So it's sort of filling it up, giving it a little very, very slight texture, like a faded tablecloth. But you don't have to spend all your time with colouring the whole thing, but it's giving it a sense that it is, and that for me is good enough. We have R56, R56 and R85, very soft muted little heart. Go back in with the C5, C3 and C1 for our little a tag. For my donkey, we are using, for his hooves and his little bit of mane, E49, E47 and E44. It's quite dark, but when the whole thing is done, we're going to do his body with the 70 range. So it is still a very warm, it's dark, but to me it's still a muted brown. There's still those same sort of tones. I tend to like very muted colors, as in like the dusty blues, dusty purples, these even this green, that dusty, muted sort of colour. I quite like those. And for this little card, I wanted them all to be very soft, because if you have such a muted teacup, and if you do really bright, his character sort of thing, a little donkey is bright, he's going to stand out and be much more in your face. So I have my R34, my ears. In real life with the card, you can see it, but it just adds that little bit of variation, a little bit of pink. I have my sentiment stamped with VersaFine Hug in a Mug, and I'm going to use a corner chomper and just do diagonal corners. I think my corner chomper is getting a little bit old. Raise that up with a little bit of foam, and our card is almost done. The last thing pretty much that I'm going to do is add some glossy accents over my tea. It's also going to be on my little heart and on the little bear's nose. I will leave a link down below to all the details over to my blog, where you can have close-up photos of it and also all the color combinations. And that's it. Take care, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye.